Yes, arafo mamu ina kwaba ere over platform we so host na age ina woni me abo ni mpu arafo ede na sisiam ne mukase Asante Akyem MP ai so ade ase ono nsoro age nani so a enye fadi agro ye de nsem ni nyina ebro na yentie report bi wo de sansoro.
Issue number one, something. The Bank of Ghana has not made any losses that should even be a topic for discussion. You see, some have said that what has been described as losses to the tune of 15.6 billion Ghana cedis for 2025 is a cost of stabilization.
Yeah, but they write in their books that it's a loss.
Yeah, 15.6 billion. As a cost of stabilization, they are right. I say that the Bank of Ghana is a victim of its own successes in 2025. And to understand that, you need to disaggregate that 15.6 billion loss that has been reported in this audited financials. When you do that, you'll be clapping for the Bank of Ghana. You will not be criticizing them. Why do I say so? And something you asked that question, Gideon asked the same question, that a year before, 2024, the Bank of Ghana made a loss of 9.4 billion, from 10 billion in 2023, from 60 billion in 2022. The losses were going down. Why should it go back to 15.6?
Yeah, the losses for which you had demonstrations asking that heads must roll.
This is a simple answer. Something. If Governor Akyem and his team at the Bank of Ghana had allowed the Ghana cedi to depreciate by 19%, like the cedi depreciated by 19% in 2024, the bank would have made a lot of revaluation gains, which would have translated into profits. Why do I say so? Last year, if you look at this audited financial statement, the Bank of Ghana made a gain, revaluation gain, of almost 12 billion Ghana cedis, because the currency depreciated by 19%. And so their foreign currency denominated assets appreciated in value. So look at the audited financial statements you have, the P&L statement, and you will see that the revaluation gain for 2024 is 2.1 billion. When you go to the other comprehensive income statement, you will see that the bank made another revaluation gain of 10.5 billion. In total, 12 billion. Why? Because the cedi depreciated and Ghanaians suffered. Now, Governor Akyem comes and he ensures that the cedi appreciates by 41%. And Ghanaians are happy. Fuel prices and imports have become cheaper. Food prices are down 32%. So what happens?
Start trading with a $500.
Are down 32%. So what happens? Their foreign currency denominated assets then lose value in cedis. And so they suffer a revaluation loss of 29 billion. Out of this 29 billion cedis, 5.4 billion belongs to the profit and loss statement, which you see in the audited financials, and 23.6 billion belongs to the OCI, other comprehensive income. What this simply means is that, but for the fact that the Ghana cedi appreciated, if it had depreciated like it was doing in 2024, there would have been no revaluation loss of 5.4 billion on the bank's books. And their loss would have just been, the total loss would have just been around the same 9 billion figure the bank recorded in 2024. That's point number two, something. I have heard Frimpong and Gideon go on and on about the fact that the method or the strategy adopted by the Bank of Ghana in bringing down inflation was a far more expensive method, which is the method of sterilization, controlling demand pool inflation. But Frimpong and Gideon knows that demand pool inflation is a reality. When money supply is not at optimal levels and you have too much liquidity in the market, every central bank is supposed to mop up the excess liquidity. There cannot be any alternative to that. If you say that the central bank should have rather focused on reducing the cost of production, i.e., reducing taxes, reducing utility prices and all that, when would we have brought inflation from 23.6% to 3.4%? And what would have been the cost of that on households and all of that? So the bank adopted the best method to bring about the economic relief Ghanaians needed. And as a result of, look, check the audited financial statement. Currency issue for last year alone, because of the excessive printing of money, was 1 billion. This year, 2025, 471. So when you have the previous government printing money the way they printed, and you have more money chasing fewer goods, even an elementary, a first-year economic student will tell you that the central bank is right in mopping that excess liquidity. And that comes at a cost because they have to pay interest to commercial banks. And that is the second reason for the loss.
Okay.
Number 3 is the issue
our time is up. Your number 3, your point 3, you have to deal with it in a minute.
Just to let Kofi Bento understand that the domestic gold purchase program, which per its design is supposed to bring about foreign reserve accumulation and FX intermediation for national economic stability and other economic benefits, has been scrapped. What we are now implementing in 2026 is GANRAP, the Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Program, approved by Cabinet and Parliament. And under that program, we will not be incurring the kind of policy cost of almost 16% that has been incurred over the years under the domestic gold purchase program. So if he wants to know what this government is doing to prevent the legitimate policy cost that was associated with the domestic gold purchase program, that is his answer. A new policy has been introduced in 2026 where we don't buy gold at Forest Bureau rate again. We buy at interbank rate. And policy cost has been reduced from over 16% to 7%. And Ministry of Finance...
You now buy gold at interbank rate.
And any other incidental cost is borne by the gold board.
Okay.
The program has now been structured in such a way that the gold board will be able to buy gold, hold it for a long time.
Yes, other force what you see. Yen nkomo bi e wo decide okay, Frimpong. Actually.
Raga. In fact, Nana Kwame or Hene Frimpong Manson, whatever the name is. In fact, me share young guy pa what me ababe successful abenya MP position. Wababe tonight London a hustle. Winim the war UK ha domestic violence yemfe ni agro. And with me di wakume echi minima di obana de ye wo. Emma ukwa bro u baby mother anasa u ex-wife. Emma na no ehono yes possible. In fact, me dwene ho ametum se nyansa nim adwene bia nim. Na asam we me ye manyo sa me beka bi na me hu se wa ye interview bi na nya no kre. Sa asam no allegedly true. me hu de wa me put in English no. Because at the quantum maker say allegedly true ne say na me nyina hobi. But evidence na won sam ne ho no. Just the yet to cry and say asam no. The court hearing is going to start soon. And if you find this man guilty, I am telling you, I know how a domestic violence in some is equal to UK. Me say, me sure say, just a minimum sentence of crano. What's a MP no munim so MP no. 2 years minimum. Maximum bet me to bear 5 years. Charlie, and the expression say. Kromas assembly say kopie court na say evidence nya kwone ho ahwan. I don't think Christ say oba no kra kwaso wo kwa kotwam betwam. And I said there is way out because for my experience and what I know no I na ye den. Charlie, this doesn't look good on this man at all. It doesn't look good on him.